Hello, and welcome to In the Garden with Flower Hill Farm, a podcast brought to you by Botanical Interests. I'm your host, Nicole Pitt. Today, we are chatting about common sense gardening. In just a few minutes, we will be joined by one of my mentors in the garden, Dr. Allan Armitage, who just happened to write a book all about common sense gardening. He founded the Association of Specialty Cut Flowers, and he gives garden chats around the globe. He joins us in just a few minutes. Now, gardening for beginners can be intimidating, and even for us experienced gardeners, we might bite off a little more than we can chew sometimes. I know I'm guilty of that. But if we take a practical approach and break down each garden task, it makes it a bit easier to stay ahead. For example, let's think of some common garden tasks that need attention in the garden. Okay, we have weeding, watering, fertilizer, and let's say, if we're lucky, harvesting, and you can't forget about those pesky bugs. This, of course, will all depend on the size of your space, but you can adjust accordingly. Occasionally, I'll get lucky, and Mother Nature will take care of the watering for me. But if she doesn't, I like to have designated days for each task. Say, on Mondays, I'll set aside an hour to weed. And while I'm doing that, it's the perfect time to inspect for any pests. Now, I feed my plants on Fertilizer Friday. That's right, Fertilizer Friday. It's easy to remember, and it quickly becomes a habit. Now, I use a foliar feed made out of fish emulsion for my farm, but at the garden center, I use a soluble fertilizer called Jax. You might be familiar with that. You get the idea. Having a routine will help you stay on top of your garden so you get more enjoyment rather than frustration. It makes gardening, less of a chore and more of an enjoyment. Okay, now it's time for the seed of the day. I took inspiration today by what I am dealing with at home, and it's quite comical. So I have 3 cats at home, 2 Maine Coons and a classic black cat, and they recently discovered where I hide their treats, which has led to them scratching at the door to the pantry incessantly. We're constantly hearing them trying to get into that pantry for those treats. So today I am inspired to tell you about Catgrass. Yes, Catgrass. This was actually one of the most popular seed packets at my shop because people do love their pets so much. I am starting these seeds right now on my countertop to see how the cats will react. Now, catgrass is a mixture of young cereal grasses like wheat, oats, barley, or rye, all safe for cats and even dogs to ingest. It serves as a source of enrichment for indoor cats and can even aid digestion. It may also provide trace amounts of vitamins and fiber. Not only will your furry friends enjoy nibbling on the grass, it's about as close to instant gratification as you can get. If you start those seeds today, your cat will be munching in as little as 2 weeks. That's faster than a radish. And any harvesting you can enjoy in the winter, even if it's for your cat, well, that's well worth it. Coming up on In the Garden, we are joined by Dr. Allan Armitage to talk about common sense in the garden. Stay with us. Welcome back to In the Garden, and I am very excited today to introduce my guest to you guys. Now, he is a world-renowned horticulturist, author of 17 books, and I'm guessing more on the way. He travels the world to spread his gardening and plant knowledge. Welcome, Dr. Allan Armitage. It's so good to see you. It's been a while.
Well, thank you, Nicole. It has been a while, and I'm so pleased to be here. It's just fun to talk with people who like to chat about plants, gardening, and all those things that are part of our lives. And turns out, Nicole, they're part of a lot of people's lives. So thank you for having me. I can't wait just to chat and let you know what's going on, and you and me and me and
you. Now, you say gardening is not brain surgery or rocket science. Are we overthinking gardening? Is there an easier way to go about this?
Do you know that there are seven books over 200 pages each on gardening for dummies? Now, does that not tell you we are overthinking this? I mean, what self-respecting dummy is going to read a 200-page book or something they've never heard of? So, yes, I think we are way overthinking gardening. Gardening, as I know, you've heard me say this before, as you just mentioned, it's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. It's playing in the dirt. Now, the playing part does take some effort. So it's called working in the garden for a reason. But come on, we don't need to know every botanical name out there. we don't need to know a whole lot of anything except the desire to have fun. And I say fun in that way that what we have in gardening, Nicole, is so unusual. Anybody who gardens, plays in the dirt, cuts a flower, does anything with what we call gardening, whatever that is, we have at least one thing that hardly anybody else has. We always have something to look forward to. Always. You put a seed in the ground, you're looking forward to it germinate. You put a bulb in the ground now, you're looking forward to it in the spring. You put a sapling in, you're looking forward to a tree. I mean, even weeding, you're looking forward to a clean bed. I mean, very few people have that. So that's why I love this thing. And you say we're overthinking it, absolutely. We got to get some common sense back into gardening.
Now, how can we make gardening more accessible to those who are intimidated by it?
All right. Well, first of all, I see you're working. You got your toque on, and I'm feeling very naked. So,
Get the hat on.
anyway, I have to have this. Anyway, so how can we make it more accessible? Well, again, take the fear out of it for a beginning. I mean, I can give you, and you can give me, a 2-hour lecture on how to prune a plant. Give me a break. I can teach you how to prune a plant in 4 words. So we just have to take the fear out of this stuff. What about, all this stuff about fertilizing and soils and all that stuff? Yeah, I mean, it's out there. Of course it is. There's whole university credits on soil science. Of course there are. But we're gardeners. We have dirt in our garden, for better or for worse. And I can tell you in 2 words how to improve your soil. And I'll buy somebody's book, whatever you do, for sure. But let's get down to making it easier. Now, I don't mean I have it I don't have any answers. But I've been doing this for a long time, and every time, and I get a lot of tours through my garden, and I go out, as you say, I travel over the place, and I take people around. We call them walkabouts. And it's good fun. I tell stories, and it makes no sense whatsoever. But the fact is, we need to just make it simple. And we can do that. And that's how people get accessible. What is a garden? A garden is nothing more than a container. One container with, I don't care what's in there, a dahlia or petunias or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's a garden. 10 acres is a garden, whatever you choose. And it's your garden. That's the best part.
My garden somehow just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because my eyes are very hungry.
Your eyes are bigger than your stomach. They say when it comes to food. It's certainly true in gardening. Oh my gosh. You go to the garden center, or you go to buy one plant and you end up buying a trunk load of these things that you then have to plant in the garden. But that's the fun of it.
Now, wintertime, for me at least, and we're in 2 totally different climates. For those who aren't aware, I'm in upstate New York. You're in Georgia. So we're in 2 totally different climates. But the wintertime for me is a time where I plan for next year. I get excited about what new seed varieties are coming out, what new annuals, what's the annual of the year, perennial of the year. But I also think it's a time for absorbing knowledge. And you've written 17 books full of knowledge. And they're not like what you would say, the 200-page book that you don't need to read. There's entertainment on every page when it comes to Dr. A's books. And you sent me a copy of your most recent book. I'm so excited. I read it cover to cover, and it is called The Common Sense Gardener. And this is the theme of what we're talking about today, is how to make gardening more accessible. And by making it make sense, it makes it more accessible. So tell us about the inspiration for this book and the character who's named Evan. Tell us about Evan's adventures.
Well, I've been asked a number of times, and it's lovely that people ask me to write a book on gardening. I've never written a book on gardening. You say, I have books that are 1,200 pages, so I'm one of those people. I have books that are, 100 pages, 200. This book is really short. It's small, isn't it? You can read it in one sitting. And that's the way I wanted it to be. Common sense. There's not a lot of that going around, so it's hard to fill up a common sense book with 1,000 pages. But having said that, I didn't want to do that. But people asked me to, and I said, well, finally, after the last tour came through, and I love these people, I do. But the one common denominator of everybody in that group all groups, is confusion. It's not like they're stupid. It's not like they don't know anything. They just read different things. They're confused. Again, I go back to the pruning or soil or whatever. I guarantee you, and Nicole, you do the same if you bring people to your place. I guarantee you, I'm going to know before I even talk to anybody, at least 6 questions I'm going to get. I'm going to get natives. I'm going to get pollinators. I'm going to get deer. I'm going to get squirrels. I'm going to get sun. I'm going to get. You just know that, and that's fine. That's why I'm there. But everybody has to. So that's why I did this book. Let's get the common sense back in it. What is the difference between, you go to a garden center and I have all these signs, sun lovers and shade lovers. I mean, it makes me ill. I mean, a plant doesn't love anything. Okay, so I mean, maybe it does, but I don't think it does. And so, all we have to do is take that word shade loving out and put shade tolerant. It's not a big deal. One word, put the lover into it. I like lovers, but put a tolerant. And all of a sudden it becomes, it's common sense. Shade, it tolerates shade, it tolerates sun. And the only difference between those two terms, as you saw in the book, is 2 words. Afternoon sun. I don't care where you live. And anyway, so that kind of thing, I get those. So that's why I wrote the book. And I wrote the book as you read a number of my books, and this is quite different. This is a narrative. It is like reading a book, like real people in it. And it's just this fellow, and it could be anybody. It could be you. It could be any of your friends, your family, your mother. They just want to get some answers, but they don't have to have a 600-page book. And so Evan goes on a search. He goes on a quest. And his quest is to find the answers so he understands it, because and then once he goes on this quest, he talks to veterans, he talks to rookies, he talks to people with large gardens, small. He's still confused. And again, I'm giving the book away. It's so small, we'll read the whole book. But having said that, he hears about this person called the Common Sense Gardener. And, I thought it was really cool because he wrote him and expecting, because this guy's so famous, he's never going to hear from him right away, which is part of common sense, and visits him, and then it goes from there. And they talk, and the Common Sense Gardener sends him to his friends or other people that do things that Evan wants to know answers to. So it was great fun to write. And we'll see how it goes.
I could tell you had fun writing it. I could tell. I know your humor well enough to know that you had some fun writing this.
Seriously.
Was there a common sense gardener in your life that you learned from, or are you just taking bits and pieces of things that you learned along the way?
Well, in all of our lives, there are people that sort of help us out and whatever. I never had a gardening background. My parents were, we cut the grass as kids, and we were in Montreal, so that season was short. And by the way, I have to not correct you, but let people know who are listening. We're in totally different zones, to be sure, but we're in North Georgia, which is in the foothills of the Smokies. So we get 4 seasons. We don't get your winter, believe me, but we get snow occasionally, we get frost, we get a lot of ice storms and things like that. So we have 4 seasons. I am not in South Georgia or Florida. Thank you. But anyway, so while we are certainly, our seasons differ in the timing, I'm growing most of the same plants you're growing. I can't do a Stilby well, which you do. And but I can do Bactisias and Epimediums and all those other great plants and dahlias and all that other kind of stuff that you do. So we are certainly in different zones. But my experience has come from having that experience from all the way north to down to the south here. And it's a whole lot more difficult than to garden in the south, even though you may not believe me, than it is in the north. But having said that, it's all about, answer your question. I really didn't have a whole lot of gardening experience. So I just happen to like it. I don't know why. I guess there's some gene back there somewhere. And more I liked it, the more people actually thought I knew something, which I knew absolutely nothing. And so then the more that I got into this, I don't know. You just do it. I certainly have had people that have helped me for sure. But in the gardening side, as opposed to the academic side, you just kind of figure it out yourself. And people listen. And the scary part is they come to the garden and they take notes. Now, this is not a good thing because what you're saying is, well, here's what I do. But, they actually think it's actually gospel. And truthfully, we all know there's no such thing as gospel in gardening. Our gardening is our church, and our plants are our pews. But there's no gospel in gardening. It's just great stuff.
I love that. I love that. Now, if we had someone listening who has never gardened before and they're looking to maybe do some landscaping around their house and maybe have a small raised bed with a vegetable garden, what would you say the most important thing that they've focused on is?
Success. And I say that, I don't know, that kind of means different things to different people, but start small. Start small. I mean, we talked about this in the cut flower industry. Anyway, start small. You have these catalogs coming in. I guess there's still a few catalogs coming in. But you go online, you see all these fabulous plants and flowers, and people have taken 100 photos of, and they send one. But the fact is that if you start a container on your deck, if you have a deck, or a balcony, or a patio, a container. And one of the things we talk about in this little book on common sense gardening is how to succeed with containers and baskets. Very simple. And so that's a start. But if you want to, as you mentioned, landscape, then I would start landscaping a small bed where you sit, where you see it, whether it's in the back if you happen to be drinking a glass of wine at 5 o'clock, and where your eyes go. That's the first little bed I would do. And again, I go to all these people's places, and it's they all want to do too much. And I say that they're all keen as heck. They want to do too much, or they want somebody else to do it. Of course, what else is new? But start small, and I won't say if you've got hard, crappy red clay like I have, as opposed to beautiful topsoil and loam like you have, then compost. You do something. That's your first thing. Get your soil to go. That's why it's so much easier to start with a container. You can control what soils you put in, you can control your fertilizer, and you control your plants a lot easier. But certainly a bed, get a Japanese maple or something, or get a native plant. It's start small. And we have all sorts of information around, don't we? I mean, like more stuff. If you like me, go to my app, go to all that nonsense I have. That'll help. But don't worry about doing it all at once.
Yeah. And there's also just people have to realize that there's more than one right way to do something. And you're hearing all of these content creators tell you how this is how you do this and this is how you do that. But really, use common sense.
There is no right way. And this is so, and yeah. And again, and I know you're here to listen to Nicole because she's fabulous, but she does the same thing. We do this whole cut flower thing. We think we know what we're doing. We have no idea what we're doing because nature takes over. And you get a storm or you get a cold or you get a frost or you get a drought or you get a whatever. So you do the best you can. But there are right ways, wrong ways, and the ways you have to do it. And hopefully that's closer to the right way than the wrong way. So when I talk about soil, there's an adage that I think I stuck in that book, dig a $10 hole for a 10-cent plant. But it's hard work to dig a $10 hole in some soils. So add as much compost as you can, and that helps. But there's no right way or wrong way. There truly isn't. But if things keep dying on you, there's probably a better way. And the whole common sense thing really makes sense.
I have the majority of your books in my library, and a lot of them have you wearing that hat on the back somewhere. But the book that I reference most often is the Specialty Cut Flowers book. Are you surprised at the way that the flower farming movement has just taken off? Are you surprised by this, or did you see this coming?
The long and the short is yes and no, because we started, the whole, not the industry, but the association, especially cut flower growing, all that stuff, we started that here in Georgia. And I started with research I did on why can't we grow cut flowers in this country? Why does everything have to come from overseas? That was some basic, simple question. And so we did this, and this was many, many years ago, 25 years ago. And people started paying attention, which surprised me. And so with that data, we actually literally had how many stems you get, how long, yada, yada. And of course, it was based from here. But So it gave people something they could put their hands around. There's actually somebody who does this other than me. And we had our first meeting. Heck, that was a long time ago, but people showed up. And this was when, Nicole, there was no such thing as a cut flower industry in this country. It started in New York, by the way, all the peonies and all the dahlias and all that stuff. That was a huge cut flower area, but it all gave
Wow.
way to South America and overseas. So we've kind of brought that back. So I had faith that we would do it. I was surprised, to be sure, that as many people were out there that just wanted to talk to other people. And then over time, so we did that book in 2003 originally, and then its second edition was 2013. So it's still old, but it is one of the best sellers out there, because the industry, which you do, and how much you encourage people to do it, is exploding. And that's, so I am surprised at that, because it's so much hard work. It's so difficult
It is.
to cut flower and grow. It is so hard. And again, my new book, which I think you also have, called The Field Guide to Specialty Cut Flowers, which people can take with them in their truck or their car or whatever, or go to the field. The first 7 or 8 pages are telling people not to do it. So, if you're going to do this, here's what to expect. Don't ever think you're going to go on holiday. Don't ever think you're going to have any money. But
It's so true.
people do it and they love it. They love the lifestyle, and of course, they are successful. And so I think the whole cut flower thing, and in that little common sense gardening book, I do a little chapter on cutting flowers from the garden. And again, everybody's confused of when to cut it, how to cut it, and how long it's going to last. Just have fun. Take them to the next party you go to. It's better than wine.
But I think for me, it was the first place where I had all of the information condensed cover to cover. It wasn't looking up this video here, looking up this plant here. So I didn't have to take the time to look for the information. It was all condensed cover to cover. And I think that's why, for me, it is my most used book from your collection.
Well, thank you. And it has that we were going to do a sort of a quote unquote third edition of that big book, but people were asking just simple questions. When do I put the seed in the ground, or do I put the seed in the dirt or in the ground? And so that's what that field guide came from. The next sort of step for those, and so many, Nicole, and you've been doing this for quite some time. So many of these people are new as in less than 3 years old in their cut flower endeavors, and still are looking for basic questions.
Yes, a lot of them have never grown anything ever. So this is like seed starting basics for a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, because you deal with them all the time, and they have probably their backyard or maybe a half an acre, and that's a lot of flowers in a half an acre. So, anyway, I love them, and they seem to have responded to what I've written and what you're saying. And let's just keep that going, because it's just a great part of American horticulture. It truly is.
Right now, it's kind of the season where we're seeing all the new dahlias that the breeders are coming out with. And right now is when you order dahlias for next spring. Some of these varieties that people are finding in their seed patch, they're so stunning. And it's kind of like dahlia wars, because only a limited number of them exist. And so when a sale opens up, you're like jumping, trying to get that variety. But it's beautiful that so many people are finding love in the garden. It really is.
Well, the love in the garden, this whole cut flower thing, we'll not belabor this too much longer, but the whole cut flower thing, like you say, there's dahlia wars, and peony wars, and delphinium wars, and all those other kind of things, because people have responded to fresh flowers. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Colombians do a good job, and they get the stuff here as quickly as they can, and the florists have, and they look lovely, but there's no substitution for fresh, and really for local grown, none. So I think that's where people are, and that's why we have an industry, not because we want to do it, but because people want to buy our product.
Absolutely. Now, is there anything coming out that you've seen in the gardening world that is exciting that you would like to share with the class?
Well, I think exciting is again, I guess looking forward is always exciting, but far as plant material, there's stuff every year. I'm very fortunate. I get to go to California every spring and look at all the new plants coming out, including cut flowers. My goodness, it's amazing. But so the new perennials, the new annuals, and then if I don't know if you go to, there's a few shows left that still have a lot of plants on display that people are showing for the next year or whatever. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff coming out. I mean, if you're into salvias, for example, look for at least 3 or 4 more really, really cool salvias. If you're in for fragrance, so here's what's happening. I shouldn't say it's happening. It's always happened, but I put it into words for what it's worth. And we talk about common sense gardening, but when people go buy a plant, they don't buy a plant. They don't go to a nursery because they have heard Martha talk about some plant. Maybe they do, but it's called solution based. They go because they have a problem, okay, or they have a desire. They want something fragrant in the garden, but the roses are crapped out. Okay, so what else can we get that's fragrant? Foliage. I mean, look at all these agastaches coming out. Like some are perennial, some are not. But so what? Who cares? And so fragrance on the foliage the whole fragrance is becoming I think a decent issue. And certainly the solution based in the garden centers, they're understanding that people, as much as then they'll put the new plants out because people still love new. Nobody goes into the garden center and asks what's old. They always ask what's old.
No.
And that's fine. And not that new is necessarily better. I say that in all due respect, but it's not necessarily better, but it's something to talk about. So
yeah, it's exciting.
And the native things just keep getting stronger. And because what's happened with the native movement, you can still buy, it's hard to buy, but you can still buy the species. For instance, coneflower. You can still buy the purple coneflower, the species. It's great. But it's hard to buy species of asters and species of baptisia and species of this. Whereas, we have so many new nativars, cultivars of native plants. And the nativars are what my daughter and your friends really go, they just kind of get magnetized towards because, again, the natives are fabulous. And if you get into, you've probably, I don't know if you've ever given talks to the native plant societies, it's war out there. I mean, if it's not a species, it's not well, if it's not from my county, it's not the whole 9 yards. But that's all nonsense. And I did a little writing in natives too. But the whole thing is, we got native to North America. That's good enough for me. And of course, you want native to your area just because it's going to grow. So, but there's that movement is continuing and very, very, very strong. As
yeah,
movement and all that other thing.
It really is. I had a lot of requests for natives at my garden center. But I just brought in the basics. I brought in some trillium, some cardinal flowers, things like that. Just things that you don't really see at your local garden center unless you ask for it. So
there are so many natives. I mean, we are so blessed in this country to have so many plants that are native to this country. And most countries do not have that. So when you talk about the ephemerals, like trilliums, and like blue anemones and all those others, they're fabulous. A dice ball. I mean, they're fabulous, and people really go. But it's hard to find them from your end, i.e., how do I get enough trilliums in my garden center that I know are going to grow? And so, people, if you can find a garden center that is offering those kind of ephemerals, grab them because they're so much better than what you're going to get online. And no disrespect to those online, but you got them. They're actually probably starting to put roots out or something. And I'm coming to your place if you got trilliums. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I love
I
that.
do. And they didn't sell out. I still had a few at the end of the season. I brought them home as I do with everything.
That movement will always be strong because of the difficulty in producing some of those ephemerals. But having said that, I've got, and again, that whole, I don't know, we can go on forever. There's all sorts of stuff happening and the whole pollinator thing, and everybody wants to, hopefully not using any any pesticides or herbicides. That's all huge movements in the garden center. But the plant is still the king. So people still want plants, and that's the cool thing.
Mountain mint is probably what the pollinators are most attracted to in my garden, and that is a native.
No, and mountain mint is fabulous. And that's been a perennial plant of the year. So I assume we're taking advantage of that marketing. But who's heard of mountain mint out there? But the more we talk about it, the more people will realize this can be a great plant. And fragrance, my goodness.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It has that like dusty silver color to it. It's just beautiful. But
you would have to here.
We can wax poetic about plenty of flowers and some greenery.
And I don't know, and we get off because we like this idea of perennial. We like that. I like that idea. But there's so many fabulous annuals out there too. And I don't care how good your perennial garden is, you've always got spots. Always got places to put something as simple as a bedding impatiens or something as spectacular as a forsythia sage. You've got room. And again, oh my God, that's forsythia. Don't stuff me on that. But anyway, so the annuals too. The annuals kind of get a little bit of bad, I say not bad press, but people ignore them. They're just an annual. But I want to tell you, see what's out there. It's fabulous.
Well, I think a lot of things. So what I see with customers coming into my shop is that they want to invest their money wisely, and they think that buying a perennial is their best investment because it comes back every year. But what they don't realize is that perennials have a bloom time. Like typically they don't bloom the entire season. So you invest in the perennials and then you spend a smaller amount of money to get the bang of the annual, because an annual is going to fill, like you said, a sun patient. They are going to be big, beautiful, and they're going to be the showpiece, really, of your garden.
And the other thing, again, well, we can be here all day, Nicole, but the other thing, the perennial thing, and I love my books on perennials. I mean, they're bestsellers. But perennials are not perennial. If you get 5 years out of some, that's great. I mean, there's some that'll last 20 years. Baptisias will last forever, and some of these echinaceas are going on, but some of them, some of these new eucharists, maybe not so much. But so, and there's certainly people come in and say, "Oh, it's a perennial," I'll just stick it in the ground and walk away. But there's some maintenance to do with those things too. I love perennials, and again, if you my next walkabout, please join me, or come see me in Athens, Georgia. But I do a lot of perennials in my garden, but I have a lot of trees and shrubs, and certainly a lot of annuals as well. I think they're terrific.
I think that's kind of the key to gardening, is to mix it up and see what works best. So, well,
again, you're always a little frightened of spending money, things dying, and such is life. But if you go to McDonald's, believe me, you're not doing yourself any favors either. So.
Well, like you said, we can talk all day, but I appreciate the time that you had given so far to us this morning. So thank you so much for spending time with us. It was an absolute pleasure, as always. Now, we are linking your website and all of your socials in the description of this episode. And have a great holiday and stay warm.
Can I mention one more thing before we go?
Yeah.
On this thing now, this whole common sense gardening book has really been fun, and people are loving it. And I hope, based on what we're talking about, but it's on sale. It's on sale. It's for sale between now and December 15th. So if you want it for Christmas, please order as soon as possible. If you want me to personalize it, just put something in the notes. But and it's going on. It'll be for sale in the spring as well. Come February, we'll have it for sale again, and maybe we'll talk again, and we'll do this whole thing. But if they're interested, that one for sure. And then we have a Christmas sale coming up too. They'll get the emails or whatever goes on. And you should have got an email about this Christmas sale coming up too. So appreciate your time, and I think it's probably illegal how much fun we're having. But
I know. Oh, thank you. I will see you soon.
Okay, take care. Thanks, Nicole. Bye-bye.
Now it's time for my favorite segment of the show, Sow and Tell. This is where we feature your stories. We want to hear from you. Tell us what inspires you in the garden. Send us your videos or audio messages. Email them to Nicole@botanicalinterests.com. Today, I asked Dr. Allan Armitage about his garden inspiration. So, Dr. A, tell us, what inspires you in the garden?
Well, that's easy. Just the future. Looking forward to everything I do is going to even be better, after I've done it. That doesn't mean it's not work and all, but, as I said, when I can't wait to get out there. I still got some bulbs to plant, believe it or not. I can't wait because I know I'm going to have such a show in the spring. So I think that looking forward to the future inspires me every day.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. A, and thank you for hanging out with me today. I'm your host, Nicole Pitt, and you can find more of my garden and perhaps some baking adventures over on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Flower Hill Farm. And of course, all the seeds and garden goodies we talked about are waiting for you at botanicalinterests.com. Or check your favorite local garden center to see if they carry botanical interests, like we do at the Boone Street Nursery. Save 5% by using the code in the garden. Want to see what we're talking about? Subscribe to Botanical Interests YouTube channel for the video version of this podcast, and follow along on Instagram and TikTok for fresh garden tips, ideas, and behind the scenes fun. All the links are in the episode description. We will see you next time in the garden. I'll meet you there.